And we are live. All right, we've got a lot to talk about in the forecast today as we're going to follow Winter Storm Orlena as it moves across the country. I don't know if you can hear how heavy the rain is. I don't know if my microphone is that good to be able to pick it up, but it is still coming down hard in California. It's going to bring a few more inches of rain, a few more feet of snow, possibly bringing our totals to 10 feet. 10 feet of snow in some parts of the Sierras. And then we're going to follow this storm as it moves across the country, where you see it's going to strengthen over the central plains and then bring large amounts of snow to the Midwest, then to the mid-Atlantic, and then it's going to move right up the coast and bring large amounts of snow to the northeast. So Winter Storm Orlena is going to be bringing major impacts to numerous regions across the country. So we're going to be diving into all of those individual spots. Now, as always, if you're watching this video after the live stream, you'll be able to click down in the time bar below to go directly to the region you're most interested in. I don't expect you to watch an entire hour-long forecast video, although you might want to because this is a pretty exciting story we've got going on today. So just going back to right now, you can see Mid-Atlantic did get some rain and snow this morning, but that's already gone. And Winter Storm Orlena is still over California. It came in Tuesday evening, and now it's actually re-strengthening. For a little while there, especially early yesterday morning to yesterday afternoon, it seemed like, at least in the Bay Area and parts of Northern California, that Orlena had passed and that was it. Well, come last night and into this morning, as I can see just looking out my window right now, Orlena has actually strengthened again, and it's dropping even more rain and snow throughout the state. Then throughout the day today, it's finally going to start working its way down into Southern California, bringing some pretty good rain and snow amounts to parts of Southern California, and then it will finally move off as we get into Friday evening. So again, that's why Winter Storm Orlena had such major impacts for California and continues to have major impacts. It wasn't that it was a massive atmospheric river. It was actually pretty moderate, but it's been sticking around and stalling out over the state for a number of days. It came in Tuesday evening, and as you can see, not leaving until Friday evening. So then as you see, Friday evening into early Saturday morning, that's when it'll start spreading across to Nevada, Utah, Arizona, Idaho. Idaho is actually going to pick up some decent snow with this one as well. Then it's going to move into the Central Plains, and for a little while it looks like it weakens, and then as it starts to bring in some moisture, it's actually going to re-strengthen, move up to the Midwest, drop large amounts of snow up here. You can see some of those snowfall rates. We could be getting a foot of snow throughout select areas of Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. And then you can see it's going to have major impacts on the Mid-Atlantic. And then this is something that wasn't being shown in yesterday's model. In yesterday's model, this low was just going to move off the coast, and that was it. And the Northeast was completely missing out on Orlena. Well, now, the most recent model has the low and Winter Storm Orlena moving right up the coast, which means we could have major impacts for the Northeast. As you see, there's heavy snowfall rates coming down over that entire area. If you look in the description of this video, I was trying to name all the different states that are going to have major impacts from Winter Storm Orlena, and I just stopped listing them at like 10 states because the list could have just kept going on and on until I named almost every single state throughout the Midwest, Northeast, and Mid-Atlantic. Widespread impacts from Winter Storm Orlena. That's the moral of the story today. So let's actually follow it. That's that little tiny trough that moved off, brought a little snow and rain to the Mid-Atlantic early this morning, but that was a quick mover. That one's already gone. The one that's not the quick mover is Winter Storm Orlena. Remember, this came in Tuesday evening, and the reason the impacts are so great is because we've been picking up rain and snow for a number of days. As you see, this trough just continues to sit over California, and like I said, has actually strengthened as of last night and continues to have major impacts this morning. then it's finally going to move off. And then watch closely on this graphic here. It looks like it weakens for a second, and then watch as it digs and almost forms a little cutoff low right here as it moves up into the Midwest. So it's going to re-strengthen as it pulls in some moisture and pulls down some cold air. Perfect combination if you want large amounts of snowfall. Move through the Midwest, and then it's actually going to deepen, hit the mid-Atlantic, and then it's going to almost form another little cutoff low or re-strengthen, re-deepen, and then move right up through the Northeast. So major impacts for Winter Storm Orlena. The forecast model for at least this morning is looking much more widespread than yesterday's. Yesterday, it did not have it moving up the coast and hitting the Northeast. Now it looks like that could happen. But again, stay tuned on that because forecast models are subject to change. And then one other thing, I'm not going to get into too much right now because of that reason. Forecast models, especially more than 3 days out, I don't usually trust. But it appears behind Orlena, we might have another little system moving into California next Tuesday and Wednesday. Now, just at first glance, this one doesn't look like it's going to be anywhere near the impacts we've had with Orlena, for the majority reason that it's going to be a quick mover. You can see while Orlena hung out from Tuesday evening to Friday evening, that little trough there should be moving through relatively quickly. So I always like to just take a look at what kind of precipitation we can expect over the next 24 hours. You can see majority of the action right along the central coast right here. That's an area that could see 10 inches or more of rain in total with Orlena. We've got flash flood warnings. We've got the threat of debris flows, mudslides. I saw one report that they're saying that mudslides are actually likely to happen, especially in some of the burn scar areas. So that's a major threat there. Central coast, especially where we've had those fires this last season. And then in the Sierras, don't pay attention to this map right here. We'll look at the snowfall in a second. But you can see throughout majority of the rest of the country, not really anything going on until Orlena starts to move through later in the next couple of days. So taking a look at these snowfall accumulations, you can see California, we've already picked up feet of snow, and we might get a few more feet of snow. In total, there are some areas in the Sierras that are expected to get 10 feet of snow with this one. I'm not sure what happened here. Are we still live? Let's see. Yeah, I think we're good. I'm not sure what just happened right there. Let me know if you can still see what's going on. Hopefully I'm still live and still recording. So, back to the snowfall accumulation map. You can see that was the snow that dropped this morning in the mid-Atlantic. And throughout California, we still have a few more feet of snow to come. Like I was just saying, parts of the Sierras could in total get 10 feet. Now watch as this snow spreads out across the country as Winter Storm Orlena re-strengthens, then hits the Midwest, brings maybe a foot of snow to some places, then hits the Mid-Atlantic, brings possibly over a foot to Virginia, North Carolina, and then moves up into the Northeast, bringing possibly a foot or more to places like Pennsylvania. But again, that part of the forecast is subject to change, as that's a bit farther off and the models aren't 100% confident on that yet. What is confident though is Sierras are getting at least 5 to 6 feet of snow with this one, possibly even 10. So the first region I want to dive into is obviously the West, because that's where Orlena is still producing widespread rain and snowfall accumulations as I speak. Looking out my window, again, rain still coming down hard over the Santa Cruz Mountains. I'll even show you a video of it in a second. But first things first, I want to go over some of the warnings we have in place because, like I said, this storm has re-strengthened. It's bringing more heavy rain to parts of the central coast, some of those areas, especially where we have the burn scars. That's where we have the threat for flash flooding and debris flows and mudslides. Main reason for that, I'll just go over it really quickly. When you have a big fire, it burns out the vegetation. And the vegetation typically is what holds a hillside in place, because you think the roots just go through the soil almost like a little structure. And then when the fire comes in, burns out that vegetation, there's no longer anything holding that soil in place. So especially over Central Coast, where we're getting 7 to 10 inches of rain, when all that falls down, well, that hillside, which is no longer held in place by the vegetation, basically just turns to a liquid. And that's where you get some dangerous mudslides. So be sure to check your local resources and authorities. Find out if there's any evacuations in the area where you live, because that is a major threat. Because 10 inches of rain is a lot of rain. So you see we got flash flood warnings here. We still have some high wind warnings, some winter storm warnings, and even some blizzard warnings in the Sierras. And you can see it's covering the majority of California is in some kind of warning. Down along the coast, that's more where it's the widespread rain and wind impacts. In the Sierras, that's where it's the heavy snow and the combination of wind impacts creating a blizzard warning. So that's the major things you got to look out for. On the bright side, because there's always some kind of silver lining, California is still in extreme drought. So 7 to 10 inches of rain and 10 feet of snow is certainly going to help with our water supply and the drought in general. So that's what I'm at least trying to spin this major winter storm in a positive direction there. There's always two sides to every system that we see. So just to go over again, this is showing California still has that strip of extremely heavy rainfall, still has that heavy snowfall, but this is the wide angle view. We're going to check out the localized impacts in a second. This is just to see when it starts to move off into Utah, Nevada, Arizona. That's getting into Friday evening into Saturday morning. And then it starts to move actually a little faster as it goes across the country, less of a stall. So just to take a look at it in a different way, you can see we're right about here. This is Thursday morning. You can see the real direct part of this atmospheric river, which I'll show you in a second, still funneling right over the Central Coast. And then it's finally going to drop down into Southern California throughout the day today, and then move off into Utah and Arizona by tonight into early Saturday morning. So this is my favorite graphic that I'm going to be showing you throughout this video. This is a perfect example of this atmospheric river. I'm pausing right here just because I want to make sure that we are in fact live. Yeah, it looks like we are. We got some viewers right now, so even though it glitched a little earlier, I think we're good to go. So just wanted to make sure so I'm not talking for an hour to just nobody. Wanted to make sure that was happening. So back to the best graphic I'm going to show you today. This is the atmospheric river that you can see is still over Central California. That's why we're getting 7 to 10 inches of rain throughout this region, because it's looked like this since really Tuesday evening into Wednesday morning. This atmospheric river was already starting to funnel in moisture and rain to California. And it's all part of this low pressure system up here. So zooming in here, you can see exactly how this works. You have obviously moisture over the ocean, and then when you get those winds coming down from the low, it just pushes that moisture right in, and then as that air moves over land, it rises up, creates some clouds, and then that's where we get heavy rain and heavy snow. So love that graphic right there. Perfectly shows what an atmospheric river is and how it works. So as we move into this afternoon, you see Central Coast still in the direct impacts of this atmospheric river. And then as we move through the day today, it's finally going to work its way down into Southern California. By about 10 p.m. tonight, it'll be right over Los Angeles. So that's when you're most likely going to see your largest impacts in that location. And then it moves on down to San Diego. We have some flash flood warnings down there, as well as this atmospheric river just moves south and then finally moves off late Friday into early Saturday morning. You can see as late as Friday afternoon, we still have that moisture over some parts of the state. So This is actually an old forecast model. I just wanted to go back before we really dive in and just look at this system overall. It came in Tuesday evening, and then watch this widespread rain and snow all the way until Friday evening. So that is basically been the story. Moderate atmospheric river, but it's been over us since Tuesday evening, so we've just been able to pile on the accumulations. The other thing I really wanted to point out on this map was Tuesday evening, and especially that night, that was when we had very extreme wind, heavy rainfall. That was Tuesday night when this system first started pushing through the Bay Area. And watch what happens here. It moves south. It seems like the Bay Area's basically done. At this point, especially waking up Wednesday morning, it seemed like the storm had passed, and at least for the Bay Area, we were out of it. But then even into Wednesday afternoon, that seemed to be even more the case. It actually cleared up and looked almost a little sunny for a little while yesterday, and that Maine atmospheric river had moved down into central California. Well, this is what's happening, or what started to happen yesterday evening and continues to happen this morning. This jet of the atmospheric river actually moved back up north, and it started to re-strengthen. And this is an old model, so it doesn't perfectly show it, but this is actually right over the Santa Cruz Mountains right now. So it's moved even farther north than it was originally expected to. And you can see we were talking about this in past forecast videos, kind of the second wind of this storm happening Wednesday evening into Thursday morning. And amazing job by whoever has helped to produce this forecast model, because it got it spot on. If you want some proof of that, one, you might be able to hear the heavy rain going on just in the background of this video on my microphone. But here's a little video. I'm not sure if you'll be able to actually hear the rain, but just trust me, it's coming down hard in this video. So this is out my window right before I started to do this forecast video. You can sort of see how heavy the rain is coming down. Kind of hard to see because of the glare, but actually it is pretty difficult to see. In this video, take my word for it, it is absolutely pouring right now. What I'm actually hoping for is that we end up getting a little bit of hail. And again, that's because this storm re-strengthened and pushed back up north. Somebody yesterday mentioned this in the comments, so I wanted to go over it again and really reiterate that this has in fact happened. There's been the second wind with the storm. And then this is the old model, so we'll put that aside for now and actually look at the most recent model, which does show that it has moved a bit farther north than was originally predicted. So let's go to about right now. I would somewhat disagree with this. I would say we still have that heavy rain over the Santa Cruz Mountains, but you can see it's going to be relatively short-lived. As we get into this afternoon, that heavy rain will start pushing down into Southern California. So you can see majority of SoCal still in the clear, but that's quickly going to change as we move into this evening. That heavy rain starts pushing farther and farther south. And remember, that's the atmospheric river that's funneling that moisture in. And then you can see it push even farther into Southern California. This is now looking at tonight into early Friday morning. And then Friday morning, that's when San Diego starts to pick up some effects. And Northern California, we're mostly in the clear at this point. And then as we push into Friday afternoon, that's when it starts to work its way into Nevada, Utah, Arizona. I think Arizona is actually going to pick up some major snowfall accumulations with this one as well. You can see San Diego still getting some rain as we push into this weekend. So let's just look at how much precip we can expect to tack on to what we've already picked up. So I'll remind you, there's spots in the Central Coast that have already picked up 5 inches of rain. Throughout the Bay Area, we've already picked up 2 to 3 inches of rain. So this is showing just what we're going to add on. Ignore the Sierras because we're going to look at the snowfall map in a second. This is mostly showing the precipitation. And you can see Central Coast might get another 4 to 6 inches on top of the 4 to 6 inches it's already had. And you can see Santa Cruz Mountains right there, it does have it picking up another 3 inches, which I would agree with because I've been up for a few hours and I'd say we've possibly gotten more than 2 inches already today. So this is the snowfall that's still to fall. Remember, this is just adding on to what we've already picked up. We've already picked up multiple feet in numerous areas. Thank you to everybody who's been commenting what this storm has been like in your local area. I actually do read all those comments and think about them and incorporate them when I'm trying to plan how I'm doing my next forecast video. And I've had a few people saying they had extreme winds, they had feet of snow in their area, and a few people even mentioning some flooding. So those locations were most likely along the coast. I even got one photo of a bridge that looked like it had flooded over in Santa Cruz. So as we push through here, this is what's still to come. So another 3 to 5 feet of snow is possible to pile on to the 3 to 5 feet of snow we've already picked up. Now, one thing for Southern California, the snowfall accumulations have actually reduced from yesterday's model. So while this storm strengthened again for Northern California and the Bay Area, it actually seems like it uses up some of that energy on the Santa Cruz Mountains right now, and there's going to be less still around by the time it gets to SoCal because there's maybe 6 to 8 inches less snow predicted, but we'll take a more localized look at that in a second. First, I want to take the localized look at Northern California because that's where we're still feeling some pretty heavy impacts right now. You can see it really started to strengthen again last night. Around, I would say it was 8 to 9 last night, the rain started to really come down again, and it's been lasting throughout all morning today, and it was certainly still coming down last night. So getting into about 10 a.m., actually this model did do pretty well with this. It does show that heavy rainfall over the Santa Cruz Mountains here, and heavy snowfall continuing to fall throughout Sierras. So remember, majority of this area, at one point, it seemed like Orlena was done, but it's got that second wind and we're getting widespread rain and snow for basically all of California or all of Northern California at this exact time. And then as we move into this afternoon, you can see it's going to start to ease up in the very northern parts of the state, but still some heavy rain and snow through the South Bay and the Sierras. And then finally, as we move into tonight, this should be the final impacts of Orlena. I don't think there's going to be a third wind where it re-strengthens and brings heavy rain and snow to Northern California again. So I think when it moves out tonight, that'll be about it. And then by tomorrow morning, we could still be getting light snowfall accumulations in the Sierras, but for the most part, Bay Area tomorrow morning and the rest of Northern California should start to be in the clear. And then I'm not going to go over this too much right now because it's a ways off in the forecast, but it looks like there's another major system set to come in Sunday morning where we get more heavy snow, more heavy rain, and that looks like that one's going to be actually a pretty massive storm as well. But as of right now, the forecast models have it moving through a lot faster. It's not going to stick over us for 4 days like Orlena did. It's going to move off quicker, so the accumulations and the impacts with that one won't be as great. But again, that's a ways off in the forecast. I'll focus on that one as we get closer towards Monday and Tuesday, and the forecast models get a little bit more accurate. So stay tuned if you want to hear my forecast for that one as that comes in and the models get more accurate. So seeing what we can expect to pile on to the 2 to 3 inches of rain we've already picked up and the 3 to 5 feet of snow we've already picked up, well, this is showing we could go by Saturday because that's when the storm is for sure gone. Santa Rosa could get another inch, but some locations could be getting another 2 to 3 inches, especially down here in the Santa Cruz Mountains. And then when it comes to the Sierras, that's where we're going to continue to pile on snow. You can see we've already picked up 3 to 5 feet. We could still get another 3 to 5 feet. Like I said, some parts of the Sierras expected to have 10 feet of snow with this one system. I had somebody in the comments ask me, did I make a mistake when I was speaking? Did I mean to say 3 to 5 inches? No, 3 to 5 feet is what's still expected to fall, 10 feet total. Pretty amazing. And I would love to, if you guys have any photos or videos in the Sierras, I would love to be able to incorporate that into tomorrow's forecast, because I'm sure it just must look amazing up there. 10 feet of snow falling down. But again, there's two sides to the coins. Obviously, this rain and snow is great for the drought and great if you are just passionate about weather like I am. But there's always two sides to every kind of storm system like this. So we do have to go over the threats here. I always like to put a positive spin on things, but you do have to go over the threats because this is a major winter storm, and the threats with this are real and in some cases extreme. So last night, you can see we're still getting those extreme wind gusts, 40 miles per hour wind gusts last night. As we work into today and then start to get into this afternoon, you're going to start to see that wind ease up finally. And this is tonight into Friday morning, that's where the system has moved out of Northern California and it really starts to calm down over the state. The real extreme wind impacts still to come, and why I'm showing this map, are in the Sierras here. So the reason that's important is because when you mix extreme winds, what would this be, about 40 to 50, maybe 60 mile per hour wind gusts? When you mix that with 7 to 10 feet of snow, that's where those extreme winds start really kicking up all the snow and reduces visibility, and is why we have a blizzard warning. So we got winter storm warnings and blizzard warnings, especially where we have those extreme winds. So you can see still in the forecast, we might get another 3 to 4 feet of snow. And then on top of that, you mix in the extreme winds of 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts, whiteout conditions with near zero visibility. So it says major travel delays. I would go a step further and say maybe just don't travel at all. It seems like this should be a good storm to just kind of hang out inside. And the timing says it's going to last until Friday morning. So that's when the storm has officially moved off into Southern California and moved off into Nevada, Utah, and Arizona. Let's check out the snow forecast, see what's still to fall from today to Friday morning. You can see there's actually some locations that could get another 80 inches of snow. Can't really do the math on that right off my head, but that's a lot of snow. You can see the impacts are extreme, dangerous travel with those extreme winds. You have the danger of downed trees as well. And then when you mix all that snow with the extreme winds, again, that's why you get the blizzard warning there. And then the rain forecast, it says maybe a ½ inch to an inch throughout majority of Northern California. Although, like I said, there are some places that will pick up another 2 to 3 inches of rain. So now I want to move on down to Southern California. And I think the best place to start for looking at Southern California would be to start with the atmospheric river. So again, this is showing the moisture in the atmosphere and the winds that are on the lower side of this low pressure system here, what we're calling Winter Storm Orlena. So these winds are pushing this moisture right over the central coast, and that's why we have such danger for flood warnings in the central coast right here. But watch this atmospheric river as we move through the day today. It's just going to continue to move down over Los Angeles and then finally over San Diego. So let's just look at the timing of this. This is right about now, still directed over the central coast. And then as we move into this afternoon, starts to creep down into Los Angeles. And then as we move into tonight and early Friday morning, Los Angeles and San Diego will be in the direct impact zone of this atmospheric river. Again, it's just these winds pushing in and funneling in all this moisture that's coming from the ocean. It's kind of the exact opposite of what we get when we have fire danger. When you have fire danger, you get winds pushing from inland, and that takes the warm, dry air and causes fire danger. So this is the exact opposite. It's taking moist air and pushing it in, which is why we're getting 7 to 10 inches of rain in some places. So as we look at the precipitation for Southern California, this is about right now. You can see that area directly under the atmospheric river is starting to move south. Maybe San Luis Obispo will finally start to get a break. My old area where I went to college, Cal Poly, that's an area that has picked up possibly 10 inches of rain with this one. Once this storm's done, I might have to put together a full video just going over all the impacts and observations that actually ended up happening with this, because this was a major, major storm and, well, continues to be a major storm. So this is about right now. You can see atmospheric river starting to push south, and then as we get into this afternoon, you can see it's creeping farther and farther south, getting over Los Angeles by about 10 p.m. tonight. You might start to feel the effects maybe 6 to 10 p.m. as it just moves right over the region, and then we start to get some heavier snowfall in the Southern California mountains. And then San Diego, you're going to feel some impacts from this as well as we get into tonight into early Friday morning. So now let's see when this system's finally going to be gone. Friday afternoon into Friday evening, very southern parts of California still picking up some rain with Orlena, and then by tomorrow evening, Orlena's finally gone. So, like I said, it came in Tuesday evening, lasting until Friday evening in California. That's why the accumulations have been as massive as they have. If it had just moved in through 24 hours, we might have got a couple inches of rain and a couple feet of snow, but it's been sitting over us for a few days, so that's why we've had 10 inches of rain in some places and 10 feet of snow in some parts of the Sierras. So this is the expected precip that's still going to fall. So again, you have to add these totals onto what you've already received. And there's parts of the Central Coast that have already gotten 6 to 8 inches of rain. And you can see we're going to pack on another 4 to 5 inches. So that's why there's really two things I'm the most worried about. One is the Central Coast when it comes to flooding, because 10 to 12 inches of rain in total is a lot of rain to take on in 1 week. Your soils just can't take that. You basically has to lead to flooding because soils can't absorb all of that moisture. And then the other impact is the burn scars around here. We've got the CZU lightning complex, the SCU, we've got the Carmel and the Dolan fires, a lot of the fires that I was forecasting for this past season. Well, like I was saying, let's see if there's a graphic for this. Doesn't really look like it. But like I was saying, with that extreme rainfall and the previous fires, there's no longer that vegetation holding the soils in place because they got burned out by the fire. So when you get 7 to 10 inches of rain, it just completely saturates the soil, basically turns it into a liquid. There's no vegetation holding it in place. So that's where you get mudslides and debris flows. So that is one of the major impacts that I'm the most worried about right now. Flash floods, mudslides, and debris flows. And I read a couple of reports from the NWS that said those are actually likely to happen. Low battery, let's get plugged in here. There we go, should be okay. So, again, if you're on the Central Coast, be sure to stay updated with all your local resources. So let's check out the total snowfall that's expected to fall. Like I said, a little bit disappointing for Southern California because yesterday this was showing some places could be picking up 3 feet of snow. Now it looks like we're going to be more in that 1 to 2 foot range if you're lucky. So I think part of the reason for that is this system actually moved up farther north and used up some of its energy on parts of the South Bay right now. So by the time it gets back down into Southern California, I think it's already squeezed out some of that moisture and wasted it on the more northern parts of the state. So, I mean, you're still going to be getting some great snow. It's something to be excited about, maybe 8 to 16 inches in select locations. And then the wind impact is also something to think about. Let's go to right about now. You can see Central Coast still getting those 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts. Again, this can impact where you had fires in the past as well, because you think about trees, if they got damaged by fire, that means they're susceptible to extreme winds because they've already been weakened. And then throughout the day today, as we work into this afternoon, you're going to see these extreme winds just move farther south as the storm finally moves into Southern California. Some of the mountains around Los Angeles be picking up maybe 45 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts especially in the drainages and canyons. And then those extreme winds will move down into San Diego as the majority of the storm system moves down as well. Like I said, by the time we get into Friday evening and Friday night, that's when the system's gone, and it basically just weakens over the entire state. We should be in the clear after that for at least a couple days. This weekend is looking like, for the most part, it's going to be relatively clear. So I just wanted to show this because it kind of summarizes what's going on. There's the flash flood watch. This is looking at San Diego. We got winter storm warnings. This is showing San Bernardino County mountains, 6 to 10 inches possible. Riverside County mountains, maybe 10 to 15 inches. So pretty major impacts pushing down towards Southern California right now. Again, it's a little bit more delayed than was originally expected because this system has moved a little farther north than it was supposed to for that second wind, but you will start to feel the impacts today. Some locations maybe get an inch or two of rain, possibly. Look at that. That's where it shows maybe 10 inches of rain with this storm. That's just unbelievable. I can very well bet that next year, this day in history, we'll be talking about this storm that we're seeing right now. So that's basically the summary for California and the West. Winter Storm Orlena moved in Tuesday evening, continuing to get widespread rain and snowfall impacts throughout the state. We have flash flood warnings, we have mudslide warnings, we have blizzard warnings, lots going on. So especially when it comes to those warning and the dangers, be sure to check with your local resources to find out what the dangers are in the area where you live. So finally, we're going to track Winter Storm Orlena as it moves across the rest of the country. And the first region I want to start with is the Midwest. So here's Winter Storm Orlena. Now it's going to be moving off California Friday evening. It's going to start impacting Nevada, Utah, Arizona, and then it looks like it's weakening for a second, but then it starts to pull in this moisture and pull down this cold air and starts to strengthen again before moving into the Midwest. So Midwest is the next location we're going to be looking at. As you see, Winter Storm Orlena, when do we start to feel the effects here? That's Saturday evening around that time. Brings some decent snowfall rates. We could be getting a foot of snow in some places, and then moves out of the Midwest. Actually, it's staying in the Midwest for quite some time. Finally moves out of the Midwest early Tuesday morning. So the accumulation should be pretty decent in the Midwest with this one because Winter Storm Orlena is hanging out for quite some time. Let's just take a look again because it's a pretty amazing graphic as it strengthens and hits the Midwest and then moves off. And we'll be talking about the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast in a second here as well. So let's take a look. That's that little trough that brought some snow and rain to the Mid-Atlantic this morning. Here's Winter Storm Orlena finally moving off California. Looks like it weakens and then starts to strengthen. You can see it in that graphic right there. Looks weak and then strengthens, almost forms a little cutoff low right there as it hits the Midwest. And you can see it's bringing down this cold air as well. So you think about a low pressure system like this, and the winds are counterclockwise. So on this side, it's pulling in moisture, and then on this side, it's pulling down cold air. So that's why this is going to bring some great snowfall totals to the Midwest, because it's mixing in that moisture with the cold air, allowing that moisture to turn into clouds, which turns into precipitation. And then when you mix it with the cold air, that's where you get great snowfall totals. So if we actually look at the Midwest, you can see nothing happening throughout the day Thursday or throughout the day Friday, basically in the clear. And then you start to see the first little traces of Winter Storm Orlena as we push into Saturday, late Saturday morning into Saturday afternoon. And then as you get into later Saturday afternoon into Saturday evening, that's where we start getting heavy snowfall rates in Iowa, parts of Wisconsin, and Illinois as well. That's heavy snowfall right there. And then watch as it just widespread impacts across majority of the Midwest. We got snow in Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan. Again, like I was saying, I was starting to type out all the states that are feeling impacts from this in the description of this video, and I just had to stop because I was just naming every single state on the eastern half of the country, at least the northeastern half of the country. So that looks like the most widespread effects. This will be Saturday night into early Sunday morning that you're getting some great snowfall across the majority of the region. And then some key spots to look out for is where the separation is between the snow and the rain. And that's mostly going to have be due to where we have above freezing temperatures. So best impacts are Saturday night into Sunday morning, still getting widespread snow early Sunday morning. And then as we work into Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening, parts of Illinois, northern Ohio, parts of southern Michigan still picking up some snow with this system. So like I said, Winter Storm Orlena sticking around for quite some time as Ohio and Michigan still getting snow as we work into Monday and maybe even a little bit Tuesday. So let's just back up again. First starts to move in Saturday afternoon, hangs out, drops a bunch of snow over the region, and then is finally gone Tuesday morning. So it's hanging out for quite some time. So the accumulations are going to be pretty good. First, before we look at the temperatures, I want to look at the snowfall. Let's just switch that right there. So that's what we have right now. Like I said, nothing really happening Friday, Saturday, not much. And then as we get into early Sunday morning, Saturday night, that's where we start to pick up the snow over the Midwest. You can see select locations in Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio could be picking up over a foot of snow with Winter Storm Orlena. Parts of Iowa maybe in that 6 to 8 inch range, and then very southern Michigan could be picking up 6 to 8 inches as well. But the largest impacts are right in this northern strip of Illinois, Indiana, and basically all of Ohio getting some great snow with Winter Storm Orlena, especially these two select spots right here. So look where that dividing line is. It matches up pretty well with where we have these above freezing temperatures and below freezing temperatures as this system moves in. So we said it was Saturday night into Sunday morning. You can see it almost matches perfectly as we move through the times when we're picking up the most widespread snow. You can see it's right along the northern parts of Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. So that's where we're going to see the greatest snow accumulations, in those areas that are below freezing. And again, that's because that low is pulling that cold air down. So taking a more localized look at the snowfall, you can see this is into Saturday, still nothing over Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. And then as we push in, it's going to quickly start to accumulate, getting over a foot of snow by Monday evening. Let's just continue to push in through here. You can see Chicago, maybe 8 inches of snow. Springfield, you might be right along that border of snow and rain, possibly getting a foot of snow. But then we get into Fort Wayne, over a foot here. Lima, over a foot of snow here. So Winter Storm Orlena, obviously not going to be as crazy as it was on the West Coast. Like I said, California picking up 10 feet of snow with Winter Storm Orlena, but these are some really populated areas. So to get a foot of snow throughout the Midwest like this makes it a major snowstorm. So the next place I want to look is the Northeast. And let's just start back with the wide view. We're going to look at Winter Storm Orlena as it moves across the country, and then actually no, we're going to look at the mid-Atlantic first, because it actually hits the mid-Atlantic before the Northeast, and you'll see why in a second. It's actually pretty cool how this works. Just want to make sure. Oh no, we are talking about the Northeast. Okay, messed up right there, but it's a live stream, so can't really go back and edit that. So Winter Storm Orlena over California, dropping 7 to 10 inches of rain, 10 feet of snow in the Sierras. It moves off into the middle of the country, strengthens, and hits the Midwest right here. Like I was just talking about, bringing over a foot of snow to select spots in Indiana, Illinois, and Ohio. And then it's going to move up into the Northeast. Now, the really amazing impacts right here are because of how this forecast model has changed from what it was showing yesterday. Yesterday, I wasn't really forecasting anything exciting in the weather forecast for the Northeast, but now you can see Winter Storm Orlena is forecasted to just hug the coast right here and bring great snow accumulations, especially to Pennsylvania, but then widespread snow to basically every state in the Northeast. New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, getting some great snow with Winter Storm Orlena. So, sorry that I was getting a little shaky there. Wasn't exactly sure where we were looking at, but you can see we're looking at Northeast now, and it looks like they're going to get some major impacts with Winter Storm Orlena. So let's look at it another way. There's that little trough, some cold air over the Northeast right now, and then here's Winter Storm Orlena. Now let's track it as it moves across the country. It's going to strengthen as it pulls in moisture and then pulls down cold air, and then it's going to strengthen again, really start to deepen, and then just move right up the coast, bringing some great snow and cold air to the Northeast. And then, not going to focus on this yet, but it looks like we have another couple systems following in behind that. So stay tuned for the impacts there. So throughout the day today, not much going on. Throughout Friday, we might have some areas picking up some light snow, but nothing too major. No big low pressure moving in throughout today, Friday, Saturday. Where we start to see Winter Storm Orlena creep into the Northeast is late Saturday night into early Sunday morning as we see those first traces of snowfall. Then, as we work into around 7 a.m. on Sunday, you can see Pennsylvania starts to get the first effects of Orlena, just picking up some light snow at first. This is when it's still mostly over in the mid-Atlantic. It hasn't moved up the coast yet at this point. But that's actually a good thing for you because if you like snowfall, because that'll allow it to pick up more moisture and pull down more cold air the longer it just stays over this region. So you can see as we get into Sunday night into early Monday morning, that's when we start to get widespread snow over Pennsylvania as this system just moves farther and farther north. Let's see when it finally gets into view right off the coast there. So just think about winds around a low pressure system. They're counterclockwise. So on the right side, we're pushing in moisture. On the left side, we're pulling down cold air. Perfect combination you want if you want these heavy snowfall rates right here. So Pennsylvania, you're getting some heavy snow Monday afternoon and into Monday night as well. That's maybe 0.2 inches per hour, some of the heaviest snow we've seen in the Northeast for quite some time. And then New York and really widespread parts of Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, getting some great rain as we work into Monday night and early Tuesday morning. But again, watch how long this low just hugs the coast as it moves up the Northeast. It comes into view right around Monday morning, and it sticks around all the way into, Tuesday afternoon into Tuesday evening. So again, what that's doing, it's pushing in moisture on the right side, pulling down cold air on the left side, widespread snow over the Northeast, and heavy snowfall for Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine as we work into Tuesday afternoon. So when is it finally going to be gone? Looks like you guys will be getting some great snowfall through Wednesday morning and finally easing up Wednesday afternoon. So let's take a look at that snowfall as it starts to push in. You can see there are some select locations that could be picking up an inch or two over the next couple of days, but nothing too major there. Maybe an inch or two in parts of New York and Maine. Again, not a major system. Then we start to feel the effects of Winter Storm Orlena as we push into Sunday evening and early Monday morning. You can see it start to spread across the state. I paused there because I almost gasped seeing how much this has actually been updated. Seeing how much snow we might be getting in Pennsylvania. That's possibly 2 feet of snow in some places. That's way more than I was expecting to see on this forecast map. Again, Don't get too excited about it yet, though. This is about 4 days off in the forecast, so this forecast model most likely will change. Now, I have some little local intel about Winter Storm Orlena, though. In California, the original forecast models were forecasting 4 feet, and we ended up getting 10 feet. So if that tells you anything about Orlena, is that the forecast models actually under-predicted it originally, and then the storm itself overperformed. So if that ends up being the same case for the Northeast, you might be getting even more than 2 feet of snow. But again, it's weather, so anything can really happen. So as we move into Tuesday afternoon and Wednesday morning, that's where we start to get widespread snow over the entire Northeast. Like I said, I was trying to list all the states in the description that are getting impacted, and I just stopped because I was listing every single state. We got Pennsylvania getting 1 to 2 feet of snow, especially in the eastern parts of the state. We have New York picking up possibly a foot of snow in some places. Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, select regions getting maybe over a foot of snow in the higher elevation, colder places. Majority of the region, though, in that 6 to 8 inch range, I would say. So as we continue to push through, you can see great storm for the Northeast. Not what I originally expected, actually trending in the right direction if you're a snow lover in the Northeast. So let's take a more localized look at this. You can see through early Sunday morning, maybe pick up an inch or two of most likely just some lake effect snow right here. And then Winter Storm Orlena starts to build in Monday evening. Starts to get, wow, just seeing Pennsylvania here. That's some heavy snow for this area. And then as we move into Wednesday night, New York City, looks like you guys could be getting over a foot of snow with this one. Syracuse, maybe 8 inches. Again, parts of Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, Massachusetts, getting maybe 6 to 8 inches widespread. Some locations could be picking up over a foot. So now the next location I want to look at is the mid-Atlantic. You can see they were getting some rain and snow this morning, but that was a quick moving system. It's already moved out of the area, and basically the entire eastern half of the country is in the clear as we work into this afternoon. But keep your eye on Winter Storm Orlena here, because it's going to finally move off of California Friday evening. It's going to move into the middle of the country, then start to pull in some moisture, pull down some cold air, and strengthen and hit the Midwest. And then it's actually going to strengthen and deepen again, move a little farther south, and bring widespread impacts to the mid-Atlantic. So while we had that little snowstorm this morning, if you're in parts of Virginia or even North Carolina, you probably woke up to some decent snow this morning. There is more snow on the way as Winter Storm Orlena starts to move south and bring some pretty heavy snowfall rates to parts of West Virginia, and North Carolina. You can see that even better on this map here. There's that little trough that moved through this morning, brought some rain and snow, but not all that much. Here is Winter Storm Orlena. Keep an eye. Looks like it weakens right here, and then it strengthens right there, moves up into the Midwest, and then watch as it deepens and strengthens again as it moves farther south, and that's where we start to feel the impacts in the mid-Atlantic early Monday morning. And then it's going to move right up the coast and hit the Northeast right there, bringing a foot of snow to select spots in the Northeast. So this was the rain and snow you had this morning. It moved a little bit farther north than was originally predicted in the models, although some locations in North Carolina did end up picking up some snow with this one, as it was just a quick system. You could see West Virginia did get some snow early this morning though, so let me know if you woke up to some snow based on that one little system. And then basically in the clear throughout all of Saturday, and then here comes Winter Storm Orlena. As it strengthens, pulls a bit farther south, first traces of Winter Storm Orlena start to hit early Sunday morning, maybe even late Saturday night, as West Virginia and Virginia, parts of North Carolina, start to pick up some snow with that one. Now the real bulk of Winter Storm Orlena for the mid-Atlantic will be starting to come in Sunday at around 7 a.m., you can see West Virginia, North Carolina getting some pretty heavy snowfall rates. And then those heavy snowfall rates continue throughout the day Sunday. So Sunday should be a good day if you're a snow lover in the mid-Atlantic. But again, we're most likely going to be getting some winter storm warnings for this one because it's pretty heavy snowfall that's going to be sticking around for a while. So be sure to stay tuned to your local resources for any dangers that might be in your area. And then as this system starts to move up the coast, that's where we should see some heavy rainfall throughout Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. That's maybe 0.5 inches per hour. So we might have some flood risks with Winter Storm Orlena as well. That's something to keep in mind, as it's going to just be pulling in a bunch of moisture as these winds just wrap around this low pressure system. So that's something to think about with this storm. But again, mid-Atlantic, you picked up some snow this morning. In total, you maybe got 2 to 6 inches in some places of Virginia, West Virginia, even Kentucky picking up maybe 1 to 2, and then North Carolina picking up maybe 2 to 5 inches. So keep in mind, when Winter Storm Orlena comes in, it's going to be adding on to these totals. So it starts to push in right there. You can see parts of the Midwest getting maybe over a foot of snow, but possibly over a foot of snow for parts of the mid-Atlantic as well. You can see Virginia, parts of North Carolina, this one strip, especially right here, that's where we could have 8 inches to maybe over a foot of snow, but then widespread snow throughout North Carolina where we'll get maybe 2 to 5 inches, especially in some of the higher elevations. So overall, pretty good impacts when it comes to Winter Storm Orlena for the mid-Atlantic. Now I want to just take a more localized look. This was this morning as that snow moved through Virginia and North Carolina. Not much going on throughout Friday, throughout Saturday, and then we finally start to see some of that snow from Winter Storm Orlena move in 1 a.m. Sunday. By 7 a.m. Sunday, that's where the heavy snow comes in. This is when Winter Storm Orlena has strengthened. It's really starting to push in some moisture, pull down some cold air. That's where we get heavy snow over North Carolina and Virginia. And then as this system starts to push north, that's where some of those warmer temperatures start to push north as well. So then where you might have been getting snow initially in North Carolina, then it's going to turn into heavy rain. So that's something to watch out for there, as that could bring some flooding impacts as we work into Sunday afternoon, into Sunday night and early Friday morning. And then it actually looks like there could be some trailing effects and some light snow as the system moves off into the northeast. So pretty awesome storm right there. We picked up some snow this morning. Well, there's some more on the way as well. In total, like I said, there's some spots that could get a foot of snow with this one between Virginia and North Carolina. Majority of North Carolina could be in that 2 to 5 inch range. And southern parts of the state, that's where you're mostly going to be getting that heavy rainfall. So the last location I want to look at is the southeast, because even though it won't be feeling the bulk of Winter Storm Orlena, it will be feeling some impact. So there's Orlena on California right now. It's going to move off into the middle of the country and then start to pull in some moisture. Well, as it's pulling in moisture and strengthening, that's where we start to get rain along the southeast. So this is really starting maybe Saturday afternoon into Sunday morning into Sunday afternoon. That's when we start to get widespread rain across the southeast, maybe even some heavy rain as this low starts to deepen, strengthen, pull in more moisture, and drop some heavy rain over Georgia and South Carolina. That's where I think the most major impacts will be from Winter Storm Orlena as it really digs down and strengthens. And if we want to see that better, we can take a look at this map here. There's Winter Storm Orlena, moves off into the middle of the country, and then it strengthens. And then watch, it looks like it's just going to be for the Midwest and Northeast, and then it starts to dig down. It starts to strengthen. It's going to bring some cold air down into the southeast, and then that's where South Carolina and Georgia should be picking up some heavy rain as this system continues to dig farther and farther south. So we can actually take a look at that here. You can see throughout the day, Friday, not much going on. Early Saturday morning into Saturday afternoon, that's where we start to feel the first effects of Winter Storm Orlena as we get some light rainfall in Louisiana. Then that rainfall starts to spread out into Mississippi. This is when the storm is still kind of gathering itself. It's still starting to pull that moisture in, starting to dig farther south. And then as it does continue to pull that moisture in, we get some heavier rain over Mississippi Saturday night into Sunday morning. Then you can see it's just going to continue to move east across the region. Alabama and Georgia picking up some heavier rainfall as we work into 7 a.m. on Sunday. And then right here is where we might have some of the major impacts. Maybe again, some 0.2 to 0.5 inches per hour across Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina. And again, this is Sunday afternoon into Sunday evening. You can see really starts to strengthen there for a second as Georgia and South Carolina could have some flooding concerns. And then even some parts of Florida will feel some effects of Orlena as well. So pretty amazing storm overall. It has impacted all the way from Washington to Florida. It's almost impacted every single state at this point. So let's just take a look at the rainfall accumulations. You can see not much happening or not much accumulating all the way into Saturday afternoon. And then as Orlena pushes through, you can see where those major effects are. Mississippi, Alabama, for the most part, missing out on this one. Georgia and South Carolina, that's where we could be getting 1 inch to 2 inches of rain, maybe even 3 inches of rain in some select locations. But again, for the most part, this region still below average rainfall for this time of year. So some of this rain is actually welcome, and that reduces your flooding threat as some of the streams are still lower than they typically are. So now I just want to do a summary of everything we've talked about. Basically, I typically do a top story in these videos. I'll look at all kinds of regions and then have one top story. Well, this entire video was a top story because it's just one storm impacting the entire country. You can see Winter Storm Orlena moved into California Tuesday evening, still hanging out over the state, actually has strengthened again. Heavy rain in the South Bay as I record this video, and then that's finally going to move off Friday evening. California in total will be picking up 7 to 10 inches of rain along the central coast. Some parts of the Sierras, possibly 7 to 10 feet of snow. So if you're going up to the mountains this weekend, I don't know if the roads are even going to be open because it's probably pretty hard to clear 10 feet of snow. But if you're a skier or a snowboarder, I imagine it's going to just be ridiculous this weekend. But with that being said, obviously a storm like this is great for skiers and snowboarders. It's also great for the extreme drought in California. There's two sides of the coin. We still have flash flood threats throughout the state, especially in the central coast. And we have some threat for mudslides and debris flows where you mix those heavy rainfall accumulations with the burn scars from the fires we had this last season. With the vegetation being burnt out, no longer holding those soils in place, when you pile on 7 to 10 inches of rain, that's where you can just completely saturate the soil, lead to some mudslides. So if you live along the coast, especially the central coast in some of those burn scar areas, be sure to stay updated with your local authorities when it comes to that mudslide risk. The other risk, and I'm actually torn between which is the larger risk. The other risk is in the Sierras, as we're getting 7 to 10 feet of snow in total with the storm, and then mixing that with 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts. So we have blizzard conditions, or a blizzard warning throughout the Sierras today, lasting through Friday. And it makes sense. If you're dropping feet of snow and then whipping up all that snow with 60 mile per hour wind gusts, it makes sense you'd have a blizzard warning and almost zero visibility. So driving conditions, it might be wise just not to drive at all. And then Winter Storm Orlena finally going to move off of California Friday evening. It's going to weaken for a second as it moves over the plains, but then it's going to re-strengthen as it starts to pull in this moisture, pull down this cold air, and then it's going to bring widespread impacts to the Midwest, bringing a foot of snow to Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. Select locations, majority of the region will be more like 6 to 8 inches. And then it's actually going to strengthen again. It's going to move farther south, re-dig, and then bring widespread impacts to the mid-Atlantic. We could be getting even a foot of snow in Virginia and North Carolina. And then, if that wasn't enough, Winter Storm Orlena is now forecasted to move up the coast and bring maybe a foot to 2 feet of snow to Pennsylvania, and then widespread snow to the rest of the Northeast. New York City could be getting a foot of snow as well. So overall, when this storm is done, I might even have to just put together a full video going over all the impacts of Winter Storm Orlena, because like I said in this video, it's impacted all the way from the northwestern tip of Washington all the way down to Florida. So entire country feeling some kind of effect with Winter Storm Orlena. Obviously, the largest effects in California, where we have 10 feet of snow and 10 inches of rain. But the recent forecast model has shown this is going to have major impacts as well for the Midwest, the Northeast, and the Mid-Atlantic. But again, that's a little farther off in the forecast, so that could be subject to change as we move forward in time. If you want to stay updated with Winter Storm Orlena as it continues to move across the country, you can subscribe to this channel where I do forecast videos like this every single day. So overall, I'll leave you with reminding you there's two sides of the coin. One, it's an awesome storm, it's exciting weather, dropping all kinds of snow, helping the California drought, and great for winter hobbies like skiing and snowboarding. On the flip side, there's threats for flash flooding, mudslides, and blizzards, so be sure to stay updated with all your local authorities. And I hope you all have a great day and then a great weekend. Thank you for watching.